brain, you're in the nerds domain. Come on in, it's about to begin.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Gaming with Scott. We're here tonight at the Indy PopCon doing a live event with Butterscotch Shenanigans. I'm here with
Sam,
Seth,
and Jesse.
All righty. Jesse's joining us from the Nerds Domain proper. You've heard his voice before. We all love Jesse. We are going to get into talking about Butterscotch Shenanigans, which is a game development group. Which of you wants to tell us a little bit about what you got going on?
I'll hit it. So we're a studio of three brothers. We're based out of St. Louis, and we do all of our stuff in-house. So I do all the art, and Seth takes care of all of the programming needs for games. And then our brother Adam handles all the web dev and back-end stuff. And then between the three of us, we do all the business, social media, the whole gamut.
Yeah. So now now is there one giant project, or is there a new on the horizon? What do we got going on right now in
Right now we got Crashlands going on.
Yeah, it's huge. It's a procedurally generated open world game that sort of is an amalgamation of all of our favorite stuff from pretty much every other genre just crammed together.
So, nice.
Got some Pokemon stuff, some Tamagotchi stuff.
It's about a year and a half in the making.
Don't starve.
We call it a adventure crafting RPG.
Really?
So,
okay.
Yeah.
So I log in, I sign in. What do I do? What's the? Give me the guts. How do I build my own? Is it a build your own world, a la Minecraft-esque? Because people are going to go, hey, I know I can make my own stuff, or is it more RPG-ish? Go out and kill stuff.
It's more adventure along the lines of Don't Starve as far as the art perspective. So you're not mining the world. You're running around collecting resources, right? Chopping down trees, breaking rocks.
Excellent.
Fighting creatures, that sort of thing. And then you take all those materials you get from that, build armor, weapons, gadgets, flamethrowers, casual things. And then you can
stuff everybody has.
As you defeat more monsters, you can you'll find their eggs, and you can actually tame them and use them as pets. The build mode has been revamped, so instead of having to put stuff down, piece by piece, like you do in most crafting games, you enter into build mode, which is more like a sort of Sims thing, and you basically just paint your base into existence.
Nice.
So everything's like super smooth. And really
We've also removed the concept of inventory. Yeah. So you have an infinite inventory.
Wait, infinite inventory? Like a bag of holding of an infinity?
No, there is no bag.
There is no bag.
You don't even need that's no like bag. There is no spoon. Okay, you blew my mind there.
Yeah.
So, what do you mean by there is no bag?
Here's what happened. We've never made a crafting game before. And we just kind of took conventions from all the ones that are out there.
Sure.
And about 6 months into development, we realized, we're going to be on PC, Android, iOS, Mac, so it's platform agnostic. Okay. We found that with a touch screen, managing your inventory
it's a pain in the rear.
it's a pain no matter what, but it's especially with a touch screen. So we thought, what if we just didn't have one? So then we spent a couple weeks making it work. And so everything is context dependent. So if you own a saw, for example, and you click on a tree, your saw just goes into your hand, and your character goes and starts whacking the tree. You don't need to drag it out of a bag into a hot bar and then switch to so everything is contextual. For example, if you open up your equipment screen, if you want to equip a helm, you just tap on your head slot, and it shows you all the helms you own. So you don't need to sift through a pile of rocks and dirt.
Awesome.
So it's very streamlined. We're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. Because the idea of, I know I had that in here somewhere. Is it on screen 8 of my inventory? And
you'll just know.
Or your storage system of chests, which you've meticulously labeled.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nope, none of that.
Not a thing.
I have a bunch of that in Minecraft.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry. Valuables chest. Do not sell anything from this chest. Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I assume that would work the same when you fight a monster, so you don't have to worry about why you're not killing something fast enough because you have your shovel equipped.
Exactly, yeah. So when you go to fight a monster, basically what we realize is that every resource in a crafting game has one interaction, right? If you're going to chop down a tree, you're going to need to use a saw.
You're going to shank a monster with
we don't need to confront you with the weird choice of whether or not you're going to try to shovel the tree out of the ground or cut it down. So when we realized that, then we took the same approach for the creatures too. So if you have a weapon equipped and you run up to and you tap on a creature, the sword pops out, and now now it's go time. And similarly with any of the other stuff in the game.
So if I've got my saw out and I'm clicking trees because I'm collecting wood, and then
you're
monster
by
runs in and I hit it, it automatically goes to your sword,
yes.
and you're already...
Yep.
Genius.
Whoa.
This is genius.
Ease of use, accessibility.
Right, right. Don't make it hard. I don't know why other games don't. Yeah, like, you still have your shovel equipped. You're
too bad you just die now. Good.
Thanks. It's killing you now. we suggest you run, stupid.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, none of that. Yeah. All right, excellent. All right. So that actually, give me websites. How do I access it? Where do I get to it?
Go to crashlands.net. There's a very sassy trailer there, which will kind of give you the overview of the game, and then you can
Sam
sign up
did the
for-
voice on the trailer.
I did.
Nice.
Yeah. We don't have voice actors on staff, so someone had
I
to
can
do.
get you a card if. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, never mind. Shameless plug. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I did it, and
You sound great on here, so I probably am
thank
not
you
in
very
it.
much.
That's okay.
and you can sign up for the beta there, or give us your email for launch day email blast.
Right
Which currently has
on.
like 33,000 people on that list. So
Right on.
Join the
Soon to
pile.
be
Join the party.
33,001 because this sounds like a blast. And this, okay, age. What do we got? I've got a 9-year-old boy and a 7-year-old girl at home. Can they play?
yes.
It's a one-touch game. It's designed for mobile, so it's kind of click
Okay.
to move, click to do whatever. There is when you kill a creature, there is a little tiny squirt of blood, though. So
Watch out. Now
Extremely
you're graphic
warned.
cartoon violence.
it's pretty horrifying.
We're going to put our disclaimer. There might be a tiny bit of blood.
Yeah, just a few kind of drops.
The son would be like, "We could get a Band-Aid." Okay, yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
how
I mean,
that
so
works.
we went through the rating process through Google Play, and in Germany it's for ages 6 and up. In Australia it's like 33 and up or something. So it
Germans.
depends on where you live, I guess.
Because the Australians apparently have a thing.
They got some things going
no
on.
blood.
Wow.
No blood. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Huh. Well, that's a little different. We learned something about Australia and Germany there.
Yeah.
Didn't know we wanted to go there. Okay. Let's talk nuts and bolts.
Sure.
Let's talk behind the end. Okay, do you guys do different silos? And this is probably jumping way ahead of where I need to start, but I want to know the question about this. For like equipment versus drops versus gems versus rewards, do you keep those siloed? Does everybody work on everything? How does your shop back end before I get into, so what's your coding methodology? Are you on waterfall or agile? We'll get there in a minute. I'm going to bore my listeners for a minute,
Sure,
but this
let's
is
go.
stuff I want to know. Do you silo things, or does everybody work on everything? How are you developing?
Seth built the entire thing.
Yeah,
So-
it was me.
Seth.
Yeah.
Seth is the silo.
So we
Seth
do
is the
silo it. Just it's just one big.
There's one guy.
Just one giant silo. Okay, fair enough.
I do all the art, and then Adam does all of the web dev backend stuff.
Okay, all right.
So-
do you guys do things like formalized sprints from an agile type standpoint, where, with the thought being like, okay, we've got these 5 things we want to do in the next 2 weeks. Let's bang those out, and then we'll look at the next 5, or like, because gaming, a build your own open world is a huge undertaking.
Yeah,
Because
we
you're like,
didn't- we
well, we
didn't
need some
anticipate
creatures, and we need some folks, and we need some guy characters, and we need girl characters, and that's it, right? No, because there's thousands of different types of trees or monsters or rocks or
Yep.
things. So how do you, that's a mighty big elephant to eat, and the recommendation, of course, when you're going to eat an elephant is one bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
How do you guys break those down into sizable bites?
Well, I think the first step is to be ignorant as to how big the elephant is, which is what we did.
You just start going.
So when we started, we were
Start
like,
eating.
All right, some folks are like, well, they kind of know, but
well, it's just
Okay.
there's just a foot there. That's basically what we started with. Can't be that hard. And then as we were eating it, we were like, there's just more. There's just more all the time. And so for us, that was the kind of start, was not being able, because we hadn't built one of these before.
Right.
We started off with the stuff we know how to do, right? So it's like, let's get this world going. Let's get, basically, you kind of build layer by layer in a game. So you'll start with, let's get the world in there, let's get the character moving around, then let's enrich the world, and you keep adding these layers on until you get to the point where you actually have like a product.
Yeah, so
at the end of the
our
day.
studio was born out of game jams. And so I've only been coding for a few years, and Sam has been doing art for a few years as well. So our whole design process is completely iterative, meaning there isn't a design process. We just start something, and then we just keep sort of shoehorning interesting things into it until it's super fun, and then we kick it out into the wild. So that has been harder to do with a game like this because the iteration is slow because it's such a huge beast.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, as far as our actual work process, we kind of just use a priority system. So we just work all the time, and whatever it is that needs to get done. Most importantly, for example, if something's blocking somebody else or something, we do that immediately. Then we just kind of work down the list. So
Okay, excellent. Because I know there are folks who are like, well, gee, I want to make my own app, or I want to make my own game, or I want to get into the biz, because everybody talks about, how do I get into this business? Because I don't. And that's that whole, because it's great to the idea of let's get into the business, but if you're like, okay, now yes, here's our foot, start eating.
Right.
Well, we don't really how do I do that? How do I have a plan? And then when you realize that foot is actually just a toe,
right.
then you're like, oh,
what have I done?
This is I don't know what's going on here.
Yeah.
So it's the idea of, because some shops are formal, some shops are informal, some shops you just want to hit yourself in the head with a hammer. They're all over the place.
Well, I think the benefit for us is there's just three of us. So
Right.
I mean, we don't need to have we actually don't have a very tight sort of formalized structure at all, because we basically sit down in the morning and we say, okay, what's going on, what's everybody working on, make sure it's sort of like what everybody thinks we probably should be working on,
Right.
and then you just go. And if you run into something in the middle of the day that someone else needs to take care of before you can go forward, then they basically just shift over onto that, and that's that.
What do you track new ideas on? Like, I've got a great new idea for
We use a program called Workflowy.
Okay.
It's
All
pretty
right.
much the best. It's
Right.
it
is very good.
It's a list of nested lists.
Yes.
You've used this? You
Yeah,
know what I'm
I
talking about?
have used it. I like Trello personally.
Okay, cool.
Because it's
Yeah.
very similar, but they've got a lot of similarities.
Yeah.
I have used Workflowy before, and I like it.
It's the bomb. So our entire studio is basically in Workflowy, from projects that
Right.
are currently in process to random ideas, in a sort of tickler file
Throw up
thing.
a new list, and
Yep.
here's a great, absolutely. No, it's really, really good stuff. Okay, so Jesse, you want to jump into the question? You got anything at this point, or do you want me to just keep going?
I want you to keep going.
You want me to keep
You're going down a good
He's on a
path.
roll.
You know what you're doing.
Because I will gladly fill up 2.5 hours of conversation. We've only been going for 10 minutes. Look at
All
that.
right.
You have answered
Time
the
flies.
questions I was interested in.
Oh, I did? Okay, good. So, all right. One of the bents of my particular podcast is from the storytelling angle. What is, in a minute or two, what's the story of Crashlands?
Of the creation of the game or within the game?
I start playing, beta
Okay.
or otherwise.
So-
What's the story here? Do I
all
have to
right.
rescue the princess?
No, you are the princess, in a sense. Well, you're a space delivery truck driver, which, whatever.
Right on.
So,
We'll get
so you are a space delivery truck driver, sort of like intergalactic FedEx, kind of a thing.
Nice.
You're traveling through space. You're delivering some packages, and your ship gets pulled out of warp by this weird floaty head alien named Q. He's in need of a quantum electro dongle for a personal project he's working on, and he explodes your ship to get it. And so you have to salvage the packages, get in your escape pod, and bail before the ship explodes. And of course, you get pulled into the nearest planet, and that's where you crash. So it's the story of like Castaway, I guess. So you've got your packages, and you're trying to survive on this planet. And of course, in the process, you meet the aliens that live there, and they have their own set of issues and politics and problems. So we have a questing system in there as well.
Okay.
And your ultimate goal is to try to find a way to get your packages off the planet and make your delivery, because that's your job. You don't want to lose your pension or anything. So,
Right.
Yeah.
So the ultimate end game is I finally got my packages delivered.
That's right.
Excellent.
It's like most crafting games.
It's an accidental. Basically, it's an accidental act of extreme heroism, because you're just trying to not get your pension cut at the end of the day.
Right.
If that
Right.
requires you taking down an intergalactic villain,
Hey,
so be it.
You're
Right.
just doing your job.
Packages got to get there.
Yeah,
exact self-interest. I need my pension.
Yeah, and
I'm
the
with you.
original story, was a lot more sort of heroic. Like you're trying to save the Earth, and you've
You're the
traveled to
only
this
one.
planet. Well, it's just tropey, right? I mean, it's been
right.
done so many times. So we thought, just take a normal person and just throw them into this insane situation.
I'm like, I'm
So-
trying to get my packages delivered.
Yeah,
There it is.
Just doing my job.
Right. Very, very
Yeah.
good. So from the standpoint of the overall, I'm just trying to get my packages delivered.
Yeah.
Versus the side questy, we meet the aliens.
Mm-hmm.
How do you develop those stories? Did you sit down and have we want to save the world? Well, we're going to throw that out. Let's get a little smaller. Or did you have some neat side quests? Where would these fit? How do you develop your story as you go along?
So we've basically laid out a framework of sort of key elements that have to happen in the story, so sort of pivotal events that really move the main story forward. So that's a common thread that runs throughout the entire thing. And then as far as the smaller stuff, we just kind of develop it and just kind of make it trend toward that point. Mm-hmm. And so wherever it goes, we just kind of let the characters take it there. And then we also integrate it into the game mechanics as well by, for example, having aliens that teach you how to make certain things, because there's about 470 recipes in the game. So there's lots of different stuff you need to build, and some of it is very progression based. So like you need to learn how to make a better weapon, or some kind of workstation to build new things. So these aliens that you're talking to, they live on this planet. They know how everything works. So they're going to give you new technologies and new ways to move forward. And then we also have all kinds of, I guess you'd call them cosmetic items or luxury items or whatever, all kinds of like beanbag chairs and cool flooring, because you build a base as well.
Nice.
So you can get all these extra little things from all of the local indigenous people that live there.
Wonderful.
So, yeah.
Okay, cool. So we finish up the beta, we throw in the launch. Are there going to be other planets? Are there going to be other things? Where do you see that 10 years from now, where do you see Crashlands? Because Crashlands is after this interview, going to become the hottest new game.
Huge.
Okay, maybe not this
So
interview,
Crashlands
but maybe another interview.
So we've got 4 games out.
Okay.
And Crashlands takes place on the same planet as some of our earlier games. So there's
Nice.
a common thread that runs through all of our games in terms of what the villains look like. But the overlap is very suggestive, but it's not super direct yet because we're kind of slowly weaving things together.
Okay.
So I think we'd probably just like to stay on the same planet because it's a really crazy
crazy
place.
place.
But
Yeah.
there
Right
are
on.
3 unique biomes in Crashlands that you can move between as well. So.
Yeah, and we built what we call the Crashlands Creator, which is the tool that we use to build all the story elements.
Uh-huh.
So it allows you to name your NPCs, choose which head they have, scale their bodies up and down, color them a little bit, and then you can tie those NPCs to quest. So you can make like Earl, the 10-drum, furry goat guy who needs
Right.
his potted bacon weed plants taken care of.
Yeah.
So you can write a quest then to do that. And the thing is, we're not just going to keep that for ourselves at the end of the day. We're actually turning that over to the community when we launch.
Wow.
And allowing people to make and then download their own campaigns, as well as adding a
Really?
bunch of game mutators to it. So you could turn on like permadeath, for example. You
Right.
could make it. The way it all works is you could actually make it so that you would have to like fight a boss every 2 minutes or something like that to
You
get
can
all your
you can
weapons.
design boss fights using this thing. It also has a trigger system, so you can create outposts, and you could even make like a dungeon or something like that, and have it so that when a quest gets completed, the dungeon changes and triggers some change in the world or something.
Yeah,
like
so
that.
we're turning that over to the community. So the hope is that the community picks that up and runs with it, and is
Sure.
then just generating a lot of cool content with it on the back end. So that then if we want to work on, because it takes a long time to build stuff, right? So it's like if we want to say release another biome later on, a bigger, like after the tundra's last biome, if we say we're going to go to like a desert now, that'll take a few months to really develop all that and flesh out all the story, add all the bosses, etc. And so in the meantime, if the community is developing a bunch of stuff in the background, then that gives people something to do constantly. Right?
Yeah.
Excellent.
And as an indie studio, of course, if we spend 3 months working on a new biome for Crashlands, that means whatever our next game is now 3 months delayed, right?
Right.
Because this is our whole studio. So,
Right.
yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so PvE, PvP.
PvE.
PvE.
Well, throughout.
We're going to open it up to PvP.
It's one of those things where, like, if it just goes bonkers, if it goes really well, it'd be nice to do a multiplayer thing.
Right.
It's going to be really hard to do
It was
because
designed without it in mind.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
Well, because I wanted
we'd
to
have
ask
to
that
hash it
question
in.
before we went down that route of
Yeah.
so how does me and my buddy get in the same world? How
Right,
do we
right.
how do we share? How do I go to his world to help him deliver his packages, kind of thing? And that's if we're like, that's later. Don't ask about that.
Yeah.
Then we'll go over
That's
here.
where we're at. Yeah.
It's perfectly good. Okay, good. So, how much time just in the beta right now, if you had to guess, from start to finish, what kind of gameplay time-wise am I looking at? 15 hours? Am I looking at it's a
No,
career?
You're looking like 15 hours per biome. There's 3 biomes.
Right on.
So about 45 to 60 hours, depending on like what you choose to do. Because, and again, with all we haven't added in the story content yet, all the way through yet, all the side quests and stuff.
Okay.
So we had our alpha back in October, which had none of it at all, and people took about 12 hours to get out of the first biome.
Right on. Okay, so
that's
there's
without
just a lot
anything.
to do.
There's just a lot.
which is good.
There's tons of stuff to build, and so it all depends on how you want to play it. So it's I guess you could kind of liken it to something like Skyrim, where there's clearly a main storyline,
Right.
Where if you just blaze through that, the game is it's kind of fast. But if you want to just explore the world and do all kinds of stuff and meet interesting people and everything, you can get dozens and dozens more hours for each section of the game if you wanted.
Sure.
So there's something for each kind of player. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's talk mobs.
Yeah.
Stuff that's come to get you.
Yeah.
Is this I can go hunt down everything on the planet, or is it The first night in Minecraft, you need to build a house with a door because you're going to die if you don't. How fatal is the world that we're in?
It will kill you. It will kill you a lot.
Okay.
But we wanted to do one thing, which is that like in Minecraft and Don't Starve, right?
Right,
A lot of
right.
the games, you do get just straight up murdered.
Yeah.
Very quickly,
Yeah.
right?
Just
without
here's your face, murder.
Right, without even trying
That's
to
not good.
do anything. Like nighttime comes and that means you die.
Yeah,
right.
we're done.
I feel like kind of unfair.
Yeah,
you
a little
know?
bit.
And we wanted to make this game way more accessible, way more like just approachable for people who haven't maybe played a lot of crafting genre games.
All right.
So when nighttime comes, different creatures come out, and they are more aggressive. But you still have to go you got to get a little close to them, before they come and try.
They're not hunting you down, but if you get on their territory, they won't be happy about it.
Okay.
So,
So not a well, I should dig, and I had somebody actually tell me in Minecraft, dig a hole, put a block over you, wait till the sun comes back. I was like, seriously? And it was
this
what?
this is gameplay, guys.
That sounds great.
What kind of gameplay? Like that was like the worst,
Right.
horrible gameplay
Right.
ever. Dig a hole and cover it up and then peek, and then don't ever. And I'm like,
Right.
so what?
Yeah,
That's
you can.
insane.
I mean, basically, you can continue your normal activities during the night. You just need to be a little more careful of where you're walking.
Where you
right?
going? What you
And
doing?
you do have so when your ship is crashing, there's these big alarm lights that are flashing, and on the way out of the ship, you kind of break one of those off, and so you have a torch that you can use.
light
you have a
source.
light source. So,
That's good.
But when you get out a sword or something, then it unequips your light source, but it'll auto equip back after So
Right.
it kind of keeps things interesting.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on.
Now, I'm not saying I'm that kind of guy, but
He
can
is.
I kill the NPCs?
You cannot. Yet,
well,
anyways.
Because he is that
There
guy.
may be events you can trigger that cause them to die accidentally.
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah.
Because he's the guy that'll go into town, and he's the new visitor to the town, and there'll be that cantankerous guy standing
Oh,
by the
yeah.
well going, I don't like you. And he'll be like, well, I don't like you either. Brr.
Into the well.
And,
Yeah, and
into
this-
the well. Yeah.
Well, this is actually an interesting question because it's part of the limitations of the one touch system. Because if we have one interaction with everything, right,
Oh,
where
yeah.
it just automatically does it. So the automatic interaction with an NPC is to just talk to it,
Chat.
which means you can't shank them in the liver, you
Right.
know. But we'll work in some things where if a particular NPC is unpleasant, they might meet an untimely demise with your involvement.
Yes.
So
Excellent. Oh, I
Yeah.
mean,
It's
there you
possible.
go, Jesse. There it is.
Yep.
Now, can you then? Yeah, I know there's not an alignment system, but there's the idea of I come into a town and I'm going to ransack / disassemble / you have pieces of your house that I like that I'm going to. What is the availability for those actions? I'm not encouraging anyone to go ransack a house. That would be bad. This is not Columbus Day, and I would, but I would. Can you come in and I'm raking leaves? Good, I take the guy's rake. I mean, it's not encouraged. We don't encourage that.
that's
but
that's horrible behavior.
It
might
is
be
terrible
able-
behavior. No one should ever do that.
You might be able to steal an entire village. You might be able to, but it depends on. So in that story editor, you can decide whether or not that outpost that you've built, that sort of like little village you put down, you can decide whether or not it's pick upable by the player.
Okay.
So
yeah,
you could.
In some cases, you'll go into a village, and if you try to steal something, it'll just tell you,
That's their stuff.
that's not yours to take.
Very good. All right, good. So
but yeah,
there's a
some
morality
things can be
base
set
there
up.
that's not just like maraud, ransack. The whole planet's yours.
Right.
Yeah, and that was always a strange thing about a lot of RPG games, like in Pokemon or Zelda. You just walk into somebody's house and just start breaking vases
Everything.
and stuff and just take all the money, and
Right.
the person's just standing there, just watching.
Yeah.
No
Like,
big-
well, he's got a sword. What can I do?
Yeah,
it's
and you're going like, well, oh look, you found 6 coins in his dresser. Why were you rifling through his dresser? What are you doing? Yeah, that's just not. We don't like that. We don't want that to
We don't
happen.
condone that behavior.
Yeah, we don't encourage that behavior. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, well, good. So, from the standpoint of we've got single players, we're going through, we've got a beta. What are your plans, and how do you anticipate to build community beyond? Is it I'm working in my world, I can share my world, or is it that is there a portal where I can look at your I can view the other worlds that are out there? Like how do you build community around this now that you've got a beta out?
Yeah. So besides the just the usual screenshotting stuff, we've been talking about trying to figure out other ways to do really really simple person to person interaction, because the back end system that we built for all this has a friend system, right? So I could see when you pop online. We've toyed with a few ideas. We haven't actually implemented any of them yet. as far as just making cool ways that you could interact with each other, cross world, but without doing that without making it so you can like break each other's game progression is the hard part. So, we're still kind of figuring that out. But aside from that, I mean, the community around the creator will be like there's will be a voting system as far as the campaigns go and commenting system and stuff like that. So basically, we're hoping to build that community up really well, and then the usual we have our own forums and all that other stuff. So
So I want to ask about the boxes. When you deliver them, are they to different groups or folks, or is it all one deliver?
We don't know what's in them.
We don't know yet.
Because my next question is like, if I'm stranded on the planet, I'm going to open the boxes to see if there's anything good in them.
No,
right?
that's
unethical.
That
would be.
unethical.
I signed a thing that said I wouldn't do that. Okay.
Yeah, I mean that's another 5% off your pension if you.
Oh well, then never mind. Scratch that.
We thought it would be hilarious though if at the end you see your packages get delivered and it's like a blender. A blender for some woman in suburbia.
We talked about the final
montage of
right.
Oh, I got a blender. Their toaster is great.
Yeah,
okay,
it's just some mundane, just household items.
That would be fantastic.
This isn't even the toaster I ordered.
Yeah. Can I get a refund? This was late.
It's 3 minutes late.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Intergalactic shipping. It's supposed to be on time.
So we mentioned early on that you wanted to take items from other. Like, there might be a space entity Q. I don't know where I've ever heard of a space entity.
We actually didn't know. I just learned that last week.
Right? Yeah.
Didn't know that was a
John
villain.
Delancey is here today. I didn't even know there was a connect. There was no cross.
Right.
So you guys are kind of folding in elements that you enjoy from other, like, from where? Give us some teasers. Don't tell us everything. Leave some things. But yeah, we've got some nerds. We got some geeks out that I'm looking around at, and I'm not going to point at anyone specific. Her. There it is. Okay, she put her hand up. She's like, yes, I want to know.
There's no geeks here.
Have you played Half-Life 3 by chance?
Maybe. A
3?
little bit.
Have you seen?
I think you need 2.
Is it 2?
Is it 2?
Oh, yeah, Half-Life 3.
Is it 2?
It's just wishful.
I don't think it's 3.
It's confirmed.
You're
confirmed.
Say 2 is 2.5. I'm with you.
Have you seen the gnome?
No.
Do you know about the garden gnome situation?
No. Tell me about the garden gnome.
Yeah.
So in Half-Life 2, there's a garden gnome you can pick up like really early on, like the first 45 minutes.
It's just like on a shelf somewhere.
Right.
Just chilling. And you can carry it with you. So when you're carrying it, you can't be holding a gun, right?
Okay, that sounds like a disadvantage to begin with.
It is. So there's an achievement, though, for taking it essentially all the way to the end of the game and then putting it inside the body of a rocket before the rocket takes off.
That's fantastic.
It's called Little Rocket Man, the achievement.
Nice.
So in Crashlands, actually in the demo that's on the floor right now, there is a gnome hidden in the ship which is exploding rapidly. So
you have to grab it and bring it with.
If you take your time to actually look around, you'll see this gnome.
Well, the ship is
him
exploding around you.
Yeah, you can bring him with you and put him with you on the planet.
Because you need food, you need water.
You need your gnome.
That gnome. We have to bring that with us. Okay, I get the important item, the things of significance. Okay, well, good, because those are the little things, because I like callbacks. I like throwing the cake. The cake is a lie. Mm-hmm. Those sort of things that you need to. People go, what are you talking about the cake for? Well, then you obviously don't know, so I can't talk to you. Right.
But if you do know, you chuckle.
But if
slightly.
you do know, you're like, yeah, right, I'm in. And those are the types of things like, okay, the gnome. That's a good call out. I'm absolutely fantastic. Love that. Wonderful. Those are the sort of things that, because the ins are the things that a gamer, like if I'm a gamer, I want to know, like, did you know that his favorite sword was, and their thing, and they came up with absolutely.
I mean, the best part of it is, like, so where we're at in development right now is just doing all this story stuff, right? It's like we're at the point now where all we're doing is that fun stuff. Like, the game is done. Like, you can play through the whole thing progression-wise.
The entire progression system. So you can get to the very end of the game and become as powerful as possible. But you don't have a reason to do it yet.
Right. I was asking the question, like, how can we make this just even more ridiculous? One of the other ones is we have this fat fish. So they're called a fat fish. So you fish it. There's a fishing game that allows you to get fishing resources. And very rarely, this huge fish will come flying out of the water.
It's just like swollen.
And it's just super swollen and bloated looking and sad, and he's just sitting on the ground. And one of the things that we're going to do secretly, maybe not so secretly anymore.
Do I know about this?
Nobody will ever hear
How
this
secret
podcast,
is this? Okay.
This goes out to like 4 listeners, so you can get... No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
It's the Magikarp situation.
Oh, yeah.
So this fish looks...
It's just kind of a mundane looking fish. Yeah.
But you can get this. You'll find this recipe from doing some side quests for tasty fish food, which doesn't It
doesn't tell you. There's no description really that it tells you what it's for.
So is it food for the fish, or is it just?
You can throw it in a fishing hole and it'll cause the fish to come back faster. But
okay, right.
it'll also target this fish that's on the ground if you fish one out. And if you do that, then you have like a Gyarados situation from Pokemon, where now you've got a boss to handle because this thing just turned into like a fiery demon.
That is fantastic. You're like, it's tasty fish food, and he's not in the water. You want some food? Oh my god!
Yeah, and we also have these little Easter eggs. Like, so we have a type of flower called bacon weed, which is the first type of healing food that you can eat because, like in life, bacon is
delicious.
it's a restorative.
It's replentive. Yes.
Extremely replentive.
So in the tool, so you can put plants in pots, so you can regrow them and sort of make your own little farm. So in the description for the potted bacon weed, for some reason we wrote this description like a year ago, and it says, legends say that if you place a potted bacon weed by your back doorstep, the bacon weed fairy will come and steal your teeth.
Nice.
So we just put that there for no reason, and then we thought that's going to be a boss. So now, when you put a potted bacon weed by a door, then it summons the bacon weed fairy who comes and she's this disgusting thing with like dirt on her head and a flower, and she's got like a bag of teeth that she's flinging exploding teeth. Or is it a man? I can't. It's ambiguous.
That is fair. There are a number of. You're like, okay, because
It's just things we just have to do it. At that point.
That's wonderful. So. And of course, bacon weed. I was like, ooh, bacon weed. I heard you say that. And I was like, I hope it grows like a weed because who wouldn't want bacon?
Oh yeah,
weed?
it's everywhere.
It's all over.
It's everywhere.
That's
petals
wonderful.
are delicious.
That is great. Yeah. Okay. So what else we got? What else we want to talk about? We got story. We got mechanics. We got front end.
You can tame everything.
What do you mean by tame? I want to tame a tree. Can I tame bacon weed?
You can tame all the animals.
All the animals. Okay, all right. I mean, other than by
you can pot bacon weed.
Okay, I was going to say, can you tame an NPC?
No,
not yet. No. So
can you tell Jesse's vibe is like, I wish to subjugate
I
all those around me.
wish to either kill or enslave everybody.
Yeah. Jesse's got a vibe going on like that.
I know how you play Fallout.
You're right.
Let me quick save while I murder everybody.
Yeah.
There won't be any of that, but yeah, you can tame everything, and then again, going back to the whole references and other things, you can evolve your creatures.
Nice.
Via giving them vibrant gifts like seat belts,
things they really like.
Nice seat belts.
Some of them like seat belts. And then we took from the Pokemon evolution screen.
Right.
Very similar thing, but there's a big surprise in there. I'm not gonna say anything else about it. Big surprise when that happens. That'll probably make you laugh.
Okay.
Yeah, so we also have we have a sort of unique character customization system.
Okay.
Where in a lot of RPGs, wherever you're like, I'm a wizard, I'm a warrior, whatever, and that determines what your character's capable of.
Classes.
So we wanted to make sure that everything in the game threads through the crafting system, including your character's sort of traits and skills or whatever. So instead of you just having skills, you have gadgets that you build. So you have a little hotbar across the bottom where you can drop all kinds of cool stuff that you've made. I think we have something like 30 gadgets or something at the moment, where some of them maybe like make you fly for a little while, so you move faster and you can like move over water. Some of them cause an explosion, like a ring of fire around you. You can summon thunderstorms.
Oh, that's cool.
One of them is called a fingerang. It's a boomerang made of fingers.
It's very sharp, extremely sharp.
Nice.
When you fling it, and it makes everything bleed in its path, and it loops around and cuts everything. So there's combat stuff and flavor stuff.
Fingerang.
Yeah, so
I'm tweeting fingerang later today.
So you just make all these gadgets,
Letting
and then
you
you have 4 slots on your hotbar. So you can put 4 of them in there, and you just pick whichever 4 are your favorite for whatever you're doing. And then we also have trinkets, which you also have 4 slots for, and they provide passive benefits for a wide range of game activities. Like some of them just make your fishing better. Some are purely combat related. Some make you run fast, or
resource harvesting,
or they make you cleave resources, so you can like hit 2 trees at once. Kind of.
Oh,
a thing.
nice. Okay.
So pretty much whatever you're doing, you can kind of tweak your character to make it more functional in that area.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay. So if eventually we're gonna work in. Right now, it's all solo.
Correct.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've got web browser, mobile phone, platform agnostic, Apple, Android,
Yeah.
Microsoft phone.
Maybe.
No, not those people.
We're gonna talk to them.
We told them to talk to us. We're like, if you make this easy for us, we'll do it.
Oh, so what you're saying is no.
No.
Because they're not going to make it easy for you. Because we went down that road once, and they were like, no. And I went, oh, okay, great. That's not going to happen.
So we're not holding out for that one. Any Microsoft phone
so
users?
we do have one thing that so our web guy Adam, third brother, he has put together a system of cross-platform saving. So if you own it on Android, say, and PC, you can move your save between devices and continue playing the same save.
Oh, really?
So we wanted to do something that we noticed that in most crafting games, like say Terraria or Minecraft, they make a almost like alternative version of the game on mobile where it's got some features cut or it's very condensed or something.
And I don't like it
the
at all.
The UI is totally changed. So for us, it's the same game. On both. It's exactly the same on PC and mobile. And there's no difference, which means we can confidently move your save from one to the other, and we don't have to feel weird about it breaking the game or anything. So that's something we're pretty excited about.
Nice. That is very nice. Because you mentioned Terraria, and I was like, we've got Terraria on the Xbox, and we're playing it. My son loves it. He thinks it's great. And then we went, he's like, you can download that for your tablet, and it'll be great, and you can do the same thing.
It's not quite as great.
And it was like, I was like, this is not as great. This is I don't like this. This is bad now. I don't know.
Don't get me wrong. I love that game. But the mobile version it leaves some things to be desired.
Yes. I mean, we're going to say it the nicest way possible, but I don't play it on tablet anymore because I refuse. I literally had the kind of tantrum I tell my 9-year-old not to throw when he handed it to me, and I went, we're not doing
as long
that.
as you didn't throw the phone.
Right. As long as you don't throw the piece of tech. So from that angle, Xbox, PlayStation?
So far, no, because of the touch.
Right.
So moving everything to a gamepad control would require a total design overhaul of how you interact with the game.
Right.
So right now, the really nice thing
we're not going to say it's out of the question, though.
Yeah, the nice thing about the touch and the mouse stuff is that if you're harvesting that tree and that creature comes up, right?
Right.
So the tools switch depending on what you're doing, right? And we know what you're doing based on what you're tapping on.
Right. Where your mouse is.
Right, and it suddenly becomes a little more weird if you're controlling the character with a stick.
Right.
And it's like, who are you trying to? Trying to hit the tree?
You're going right. The tree is to the right, and a bad guy's to the right.
What
are we looking at here?
And the thing is, like, sometimes if you want to just avoid combat, because of the way the combat works, you can avoid taking damage just by like kind of dodging around. So so the combat is actually all
that's different.
Really, really active.
It's a telegraphed kind of WildStar style.
Oh, okay.
So the damage pattern will be laid out on the ground for a moment, and you can just get out of the way. Right.
Very nice.
It's the sort of thing where if you're really, really skilled at the game, you can harvest while being attacked.
Kind of juke attacks while chopping a tree, juke around.
And it's kind of like, it's a goofy thing because you can, and some of the creatures actually react to the fact that you're tearing down parts of the environment. They get kind of mad if you take the resources. So you can sometimes build up a little, herd of things trying to murder you, and just kind of
as you're
chopping
down all the plants they love.
That is fantastic.
And of course they have different aggro radius and stuff too. So some of them are a lot more aggressive. They may be totally passive, but we have these hovering 3-tentacled octopus-like things called glidopus. And they congregate around these whistle root plants. And if you chop one down, it's like every glidopus in a 10-mile radius comes rushing in trying to kill you. So you got to be on your toes.
Got to be ready to go.
Now, can you outrun the monsters, or
yes?
Yeah, they follow a similar sort of de-aggroing system as most MMOs or anything like that, where you just kind of run away enough and then they'll leave.
Yeah, but they don't do that thing where they immediately sprint back to their starting location. They just kind of stop and hang out wherever they were. So
do they have memory? In other words, they knew you were the one chopping down their roots.
They do.
And you're like, I'll wait 10 minutes and go do this, chop down some trees, and then I'll come over here to get this thing again, and they don't know who I am.
Well, after 10 minutes, they may not remember, but over a short span, they will still be hostile toward you.
Okay, all right, because you're that guy.
They're pretty forgiving. After they let it slide.
Fair enough. I didn't know how hard we wanted to make it. So I'm going to ask this for both of you in kind, and get your opinion on these. What games were your influences? In other words, when you grew up, you started gaming with X, but really I loved this the most. So what's your gaming influences? What are your backgrounds?
Well, I started with Word Muncher on a Mac. Do you remember that game?
Nice.
Yeah. That was just
Where you had to
it's
type
the
out
best.
the thing to eat the word.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was something. That was phenomenal. So I started with that, but I think as far as actual, like really meaty game design stuff comes from Diablo 2.
Yeah.
Just the bomb. We played Diablo a lot, but I think Diablo 2 is kind of like a touchstone for how cool you can make something, and then their synergy system, and my favorite was the socketing of the runes and all that. Getting the beast in your weapon, whatever. So that was really, really fun. And then as far as like more recently, things like Terraria and these big open world things, which I don't like because of the fact that they kind of just give up on narrative completely. Like they don't really
Just like
do
you're
it.
in a wilderness. All right, whatever.
Go.
So that's always been bothersome, but that's something we've tried to remedy. So those are the two kind of more recent ones, I think.
What game did you play last night, other than Crashlands?
We didn't play any games last night. We
Barely slept last night.
were fixing the demo.
We did just as an aside, we did a thing for this convention, which is we didn't have a tutorial when we came. So you were asking about agile programming.
Yes.
So we didn't have a tutorial in the game when we arrived, and we've been developing it and patching it in between players of the demo.
And now you have one.
We have one.
That is fantastic.
And it works really well.
It worked pretty well because we got to see what was confusing for people, and then for the next person, it was less confusing because we fixed it. So
there it is. That is agile.
It was nerve-wracking,
right
but
there.
So if you played it on Friday, it's way better now. So.
Right on. Come back. Butterscotch Shenanigans.
Yeah.
The tutorial's way better now. That's what I heard.
You'll be a lot less confused.
Right on. Okay, your turn.
So I started, similar to Sam, Math Blaster was my thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was my jam.
Nice.
But for me, the game that really sort of threw me into, from being a sort of casual gamer, I guess you'd say, into just playing the crap out of games was World of Warcraft. I was a senior in high school when it came out, so I lost some years to that, some of my prime years. But to me, it was really interesting, sort of tracking the things that were added to that game, and then seeing how those cascaded into player behavior and the way that people treated each other in the game, and how the community changed based on design decisions. I thought that was really fascinating. So I've always dreamed of eventually producing an MMO, but we're so far from that right now that, and actually I don't even know if I want to anymore. Now that I know more about
how much work it takes.
Well, and not only that, but the aspects of trying to maintain a positive community and maintaining customer support and server infrastructure and all that stuff. For a small studio, it's
we've
insane.
seen when that patch went in with the pandas, how everybody went and lost their mind. And if you're doing positive community, it's like, let's not do this.
The internet is guaranteed to lose its mind.
Like on a regular basis.
Just every day.
But we do have a strict, in our terms of use, when you sign up for a Butterscotch ID, we have a strict don't be a jerk policy.
Very nice.
And if you are a jerk, you can be banned from all of our games forever, from all time.
Well, good.
So
good.
We just don't want jerks around.
Because while you might be in a game and you might be down at the end of the table like Jesse and you might want to murder every NPC that's out there, we still want you to be at least nice about it.
Yeah, be civil. Be
civil.
civil.
Well, and if, of course, if you're ruining another person's
then we're done.
Then that's the problem, So
And
you can play the game however you want, but
And it's one of those things that I was had a thing with my kids recently where I'm like, hey, look, you might be having a blast and having fun, but if you're having fun at the expense of someone else's fun, don't do that.
It's not good. It's not good.
We don't want to encourage that. Like, that does not make the world a better place. It makes it worse. So when you get online, we want you to, at the very least, be courteous, be polite, be nice. And then you can go kill things over there. Just don't.
Well, I mean, you could still kill them, right? If that's the point of the game.
Okay.
I mean, you should kill them. You should kill them well with skill.
Like if you're playing Halo. Yes.
Yeah,
you should
exactly.
kill that
Honorable
guy.
combat.
But at the end of the day, there's an element of sportsmanship to a degree, I guess. And so I play a lot of League of Legends now.
Right.
And that's obviously known for having extremely toxic behavior.
Yes.
And we saw at GDC last year, we saw a really interesting talk by a guy where he basically just said, the weird thing about it is that they only about like 1 out of 10 people engage in any sort of toxic behavior. But the issue is you have 10 people in a match. Mm-hmm. And on any given day, it's guaranteed that one of those people is basically having a bad day.
And then, of course, it cascades.
Oh,
So it ruins other people's time,
so
and then
like,
they get mad, and then
they're like, how come we have this like 95% of our players never get reported for anything, and yet everybody feels like the games are kind of negative. And then they did this research, and they're like, that's why there's one person in every game who's just kind of grumpy about stuff.
Sure.
So
how does Butterscotch Shenanigans, like, have you ever had to deal, even in your other 3 or in this one, with that sort of toxicity?
We've only had a few incidents of
Yeah, so we have
weird
a random friend system where we have a
Okay.
we have the ability.
I'm intrigued
Yeah,
now.
so we have the
'cause I'm
ability
friend
to
and
add
random.
Right.
Okay, put those together for me.
So we have a friend system through
Right.
Butterscotch ID. But if you don't know anybody immediately who's playing one of our games, but you want to be on a friend leaderboard or compare, like, just chat with somebody or compare achievements or whatever, you can just say put me in the random friend list, and it'll just
Okay.
match you up with somebody. And when you get matched up, it'll send a message from you to that person and vice versa, saying, "Hey, we just became friends through the random friend finder." And one day, just this happened maybe twice or 2 or 3 times, but somebody will become friends through that, and then the person will just insult them, just like that,
Just off the gate?
just right out of the bat.
Wow.
Add me as a random friend and go to hell.
so we're like, you're done. You can go
So
home.
we just ban those people immediately. We're like,
So-
you're just not a good person.
So, right. No, understandable.
Yeah.
But from the idea of building community and from do you pull said offender aside and go, "Hey, how you having a bad?" Or do you just go, "Permanuke, get out"?
we don't permanuke until I think after.
Well, we have a mild suspension where basically for a week they aren't allowed to talk to any other people.
Okay.
and
you can keep playing the game,
they
but
rec-
you need
right,
to just
right.
we put the duct tape out.
And
here.
they receive a message explaining why that's the case, and if they have
Right.
concerns about it,
Talk to us, let us know.
Yeah, and so far nobody has ever objected.
Come back and said, "Well, I was
Yeah.
horrible because I
we
should be."
Yeah, because we show the chat log. It's right there.
Like, how do you defend
Yeah.
this? I don't. Sorry.
That's exactly
No one should ever say this, and we understand that.
Yeah. So
Okay, excellent. All right, then, because the positive community thing was where we're getting. It's we want to maintain that. We want to build that. It's even one of those that in the podcast group that we have. We struggled. I brought on my new podcast. We just had our 1-year anniversary last month or last week, and we struggled in the very beginning with keep it PG-13. No, keep it clean, keep it don't. And we're doing I'm doing a Marvel superhero game where we wanted that dark, gritty, Punisher-esque, okay, let's let the kiddies be able to hear it without going oh, it's superhero-y, but not
Dark.
Dark.
Yeah.
I have nightmares now. We don't need
Right.
it. Right, and maintaining that positive community is something that
Right.
when you get those toxic individuals, because there are elements out there. I'm a troll. I do just not from a bad standpoint, but just from I like to go, boop, and then go over there and watch
Sure.
people just. But I do it in a nice. I like to think I do it in a nice way. Let's put it that way. And it's hard when you have somebody who's boop in a not nice way. Where
Right.
they're like, I just want to see
just
this
mean.
person.
they're not just being sassy. They're,
Right. No,
yeah.
there's that word again. Sassy. Yeah. I don't sass, people. Get
Yeah.
that right now. I'm telling you. Okay. But anyhow, but to keep that and to keep it positive and be able to then share that with the community and say, hey, we're trying to keep this a nice community. We're trying to be civil and respond to the negativity, not in a negative way, but in a constructive way. Like, hey, we're all adults. We're all enjoying our game. Even if you're a young adult who's enjoying our game, and we want to make this an enjoyable, and I don't want to use the word safe place, because again, if you're harvesting the wrong weeds in the wrong place, you're going to get
dangerous.
murdered.
You will die.
You're going to get murdered, so it's not exactly safe, but it is a good game experience for everybody.
Yeah.
And that customer service and community is something that can be hard to build if you run into the type of toxicity where you just sit back and you go, wow, I don't even know what to say. I wouldn't even
Right.
think another person would say that.
And I think a lot of that comes down to having tools for dealing with it, right? So being able
Yes.
to squelch players for weeks at a time if they're being
Right.
rude, or just literally destroy everything that they've ever loved that we've built.
Like their very hearts.
Just
love.
rip it out.
Yes.
Being able to have the tools is one thing, but then also so we have our forums community, which is this really tight, small group of people right now. But they all are self-policing, right? So we set up the rules for this structure. We engage with the community regularly and demonstrate those rules, constantly in all of our posts and stuff.
Good.
And the culture basically picks up from there and then just does it
And
self-polices, right?
And they now keep coming back because that's the kind of place that they want to talk to other people, and
they have fun with.
Those are their people now.
And if someone comes in and they're making spouting off some nonsense about anything, they could be anything from like free to play haters coming in and being like, hey, your old game is not free anymore. What happened? Or I had to look at an ad and I'm angry. And they will casually, calmly just explain, making games is really hard. And these guys aren't rolling in money by any stretch, and you need to calm down and shut up.
Secure that,
very nice
private.
Yeah, so it's to a point where since we've created that atmosphere, that our more active community members reinforce that for us. So
and that is fantastic.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So last thing before I may ask for questions. I don't know how engaged we are, but you never know.
Eat nachos.
Talk to me about your community outside of the game. Facebook, Twitter, website. How do we get in touch? Where do we see? What are the avenues to get in touch with you?
Sure. So if you go on crashlands.net, that's basically that's all the Crashlands related stuff. So you can sign up for the beta there. You can give us your email for launch day. And Twitter is at Butterscotch Shenanigans. And
okay, you'll have to spell that because it was shenanigans, and you cut me off there.
It's the first part of shenanigans.
It's
short, too long for a Twitter handle. So
okay. All right.
Butterscotch as in scotch.
Right.
And then Shenanigans as in the first part of shenanigans.
All right. Gotcha.
And then you can check
Some
on
of us
Facebook.
are slow. I couldn't follow that. I mean, I got the B-scotch, and then I was like, and then I lost the rest of it.
And we also do, we have our blog, which is butterscotch-shenanigans.com, as well as the YouTube channel, which is Butterscotch Shenanigans.
Excellent.
And through those, the YouTube channel has art time lapses and us talking about various aspects of game development, as well as random trailers and things like that. And then the blog is all sorts of crazy stuff. And we also have a podcast, actually.
Excellent.
Called Coffee with Butterscotch.
Coffee with butter. That sounds good.
Every Wednesday morning.
Excellent. Well, we'll have to get some coffee with butterscotch. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Facebook.
We have it. But it's not that good.
It's extremely bad at engaging users, as it turns out.
It is.
It's weird.
Decidedly, everyone loves they want to be on the Facebook, but it's not the.
No, it's weird. It's like
place
you spend so much time building up that audience, and then they don't let you talk to them.
Yes.
And it's unless you pay them.
Right.
Which is like,
I don't like that.
Why did I do this? What have we done to ourselves? So we
the
actually
site, the Twitter's, the thing, much better for customer engagement or player engagement, interaction.
Exactly.
I prefer that, but yes. Okay, so I'm gonna do an experiment here. Any questions for Butterscotch Shenanigans? Does anybody? Anybody?
Put your sandwiches down.
I have a
guys.
quick question.
Oh,
that?
okay. Jesse's in.
Is there a way to get early access on this? Is it already out anywhere? Or?
We just got greenlit on Monday, and we'll be entering closed beta in probably about 6 to 8 weeks. So there's a beta sign up at crashlands.net. So if you want early access for that, just bear in mind it'll be beta. So there'll be some life destroying bugs in there.
That's fine.
But other than that, we're gonna shoot for maybe about a month in beta, unless we can just crank it out fast, and then we'll be launching after that. So
Excellent.
on everything.
On everything.
Yeah.
Fantastical. All right, well then, that'll do us tonight for Gaming with Scott. We didn't have everybody throw their hands up. That's okay. We have at least got some eyes. It was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
That'll do us tonight.
Beautiful
You can find
eyes.
us on Facebook, Twitter. Give us some stars on iTunes, etc. Butterscotch Shenanigans and Crashlands is their game. I want to, at the very least, go over and play the tutorial now that I know that you have one. It will be fantastic.
It's so great.
Come out and see us. Indy PopCon. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.